Welcome to the What Now podcast, where we document our journey through chiropractic. Our goal is to give you, the new chiropractor, our firsthand experience in running a principled, cash-based practice right out of school. Join us as we bring you real perspective, lessons learned, and the leading names in the profession as we build the practices of our dreams.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the What Now podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Dr. Zach Thompson, joined by none other than my bro Miko, Dr. Spencer, and we have a very special guest on today. Spencer, who's joining us?
What's up, guys? We have a great guest. Zach, that was an awesome intro. We have an awesome guest. I'm super excited. This guest, if you haven't assumed already, is from the world of the wealthy practitioner, and we've met her through Dr. Steph and all of those things. But today we're joined by Callan Faulkner. Callan is an AI expert, and I really don't have anything else other to say than she's just going to absolutely blow your mind. And every time I'm around Callan, I learned something crazy new about what technology can do. And I think the most admirable part about Callan is that she uses so much technology in her life, and it really amplifies her as a person. And you're always super present with all the people that you're around. And so I really admire you for that. But Callan, welcome to the What Now podcast.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Spencer. Amazing intro. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, we're so excited. So for people who don't know who you are and don't know what AI is, tell us a little bit about what you do, what your origin story is, and let us know how you kind of got here.
Yeah. So I'll give you the high level overview. When I got out of college, I immediately went to go work for a startup that was in the marketing automation space. So really helping small businesses just automate their marketing, everything from websites to social, to marketing campaigns. So I kind of got a good feel for automation there. Have you guys talked about Enneagram on here? Are your listeners familiar with that?
Yeah, we talk a lot about Enneagram.
Okay, cool. So I'm an Enneagram 3, which means I'm an achiever. Yes. Are you guys threes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not surprised. We are also obsessed with efficiency. So if we can take something and make it go from 3 steps to 1 step, or even 2 steps to 1 step, we will do it. So that was the kind of beginning of my career there. I went to go work for a CRM implementation firm. So I was doing sales. I was on the sales side. That turned into VP of sales. That turned into building roadmaps. So I would go into big Fortune 5,000 companies that were using Excel docs and start to figure out ways for them to start using systems, start to make things cleaner, simpler. So many people are just working so hard.
Yes.
And it kills me. I literally think it's just, it sends a physical sensation through my body when I see someone doing work that could be automated. So that started my journey really randomly. I listened to a podcast about, I don't know, now it's about 5 years ago, about land investing, and I wanted to get into real estate. So I started a land investing company. That's a whole other conversation, but I got into this land investing space, and that I started realizing that these guys, some women, we need more women in land investing, mostly men, were using Excel spreadsheets, notebooks. They were mailing letters. They were mailing contracts. I'm like, whoa, we can help you. So I started a company called REI, Real Estate Investor, REI Optimize, helping real estate investors automate and scale their business. So that's been my consulting business on top of my land investing business. Over the last year, I've started to see, a year ago, I saw my first webinar on AI, and it completely changed my life. Just seeing the power of it. I actually saw a webinar on watching a SOP get created, and he recorded himself talking through the SOP. He took the transcript, he built the step-by-step process for it. He took the chunks of the video and just quickly fed the images into the SOP. I hate SOPs. I'm sure you guys too. Enneagram 3s, they're also the bane of my existence. I was like, oh my gosh, this is absolutely wild. I cannot believe I've been writing this out. What else can this do? So that was the kind of the origin story. And then what is AI? What is AI? AI, if for those of you that are listening, you maybe even saw this title and literally had like a physical sensation in your body of like, I don't want to learn about this because it's like this new thing, and there's probably some anxiety around having to learn this new thing. I can promise you right now, it is not nearly as complex as you think, number one. And if you just take a breath and say, okay, I'm just going to listen for the next however long this is, I promise you, you will change the way you think about it. So that's my little PSA. Artificial intelligence is the idea that we can make a machine think, strategize, and make decisions like a human being. And right now where we are pretty much predominantly working inside of something called large language models. So ChatGPT is a large language model, and this particular AI can create text like a human. So we can talk to it like a human. I think of it as like the smartest person, whatever industry or thing that you want. It's the smartest person in the world, but it's 10 years old. We can get into how to talk to it. But there's all these like machine learning and predictive analytics. We're not talking about that. We're not going to do that's like all this crazy, crazy wizardry stuff. We are going to focus probably on most of our conversation today on working with tools like ChatGPT.
That's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. So like to kind of clear I think like the biggest misconception around AI is like the Matrix, right? Like it
Right.
is like are machines going to take over our brains and our world and those kind of things? And like, does it dehumanize you when you use it?
I love that question, Spencer, because it actually makes me more human because I am automating so much stuff that drains me, completely drains me and drains my team. I will talk about this a lot probably today. Why I'm obsessed with this is because I don't want to work past 3:30. That's my perfect schedule. There are those on here that don't want to start work until 10 and they want to work till 6 or till 3 or whatever. You want to work a couple hours a day? Okay, if you want to work a couple of hours a day, there's two things that have to happen. Either you have to have technology to help you move things along, unless you want to obviously move at a snail's pace. It's your choice. Or you have to hire great people to help you. So there's people or tech. I have chosen both. Our first step is tech if we can, because I want to live my life. I want to spend time with my friends. I want to be in the sauna. I want to go to Dr. Steph, every single event Dr. Steph puts on. I'm not going to miss one. So that's why I'm obsessed with AI.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so important. Like I just implemented like some automations through a CRM over like in January, and it like has radically changed my life. I work way less. My team is way less stressed. So then I can connect with them. They can connect with our patients better.
Yeah.
And it's because like we're not bogged down by having to like type yes and no or done or did not done or initial in these Excel sheets all the time, and then people's information like when their payment is getting come out or what schedule they're on, all of this stuff. Like it's easy, it's just a tap of the button versus it takes all this brain power. It takes up so much of our capacity, right? And so instead of spending all this time in front of the screen, now we can spend it face to face and actually interacting.
100%. Yeah. And that's the whole idea is how do I identify the activities that take away my energy and your team's energy and immediately start to get an automation, an AI agent or a project in place to do as much of that work as possible. And you will be shocked. I mean, I know Spencer, you've seen it, and Zach, it sounds like you saw some of the training that I've done, what it can do. And it's just the beginning.
Yeah. And so with that, I mean, just to go like start at like a simple level, I would assume most of our listeners know like you can go into ChatGPT and like create a social media post. So maybe not that basic of a level, but what are some of the more simpler automations, if you will? That wasn't great grammar, but some of the simpler automations, if you will, that people can start using ChatGPT or some of these other LLMs.
Well, actually, I want to talk about that because I think that people are really misusing AI in a horrendous way. And it actually like really makes me upset to see people go in and say, create me a social media post for my clinic called blank. When you do that, you are essentially going to a random person online that knows social media and asking them to create a social media post for you. They have no idea what your tone of voice is. They have no idea what style you write. They have no idea the impact you make on your clients. They've never seen a case study that you've done. They have no idea what your team is. They don't know the purpose, the mission, the values of your clinic. They don't know what people talk about, how people talk about you when you're not there. You are setting yourself up for failure by going into ChatGPT and asking it to just write a social media post for you. Do not do that. Like, That is, you're just, and I can tell from a mile away. We can all tell from a mile away when you just did that, and it shot out a bunch of emojis, and it's like, come to our beloved clinic where we demystify Cairo for, what are you talking about? Like, so terrible. So thank you for letting me rage for a second. One of the things that I teach a lot to my clients and the foundations of it, AI requires context and information. It wants to know who you are, what are you doing, all those things that I mentioned about your clinic and the testimonials and the case studies. You need to give that to AI. You're not going to just hire this random social media person online and be like, go build a social media plan for me without giving them all of this information. So yes, of course, can it help you build your social strategy? Okay, well, it needs to know everything about you, and it needs, maybe you look at a couple other chiro clinics on social that have tons of followers, and you start to build some patterns around what they're doing. What are the reels that are performing the best? And you're feeding it the data so that it can help you. So yes, that, I know it sounds simple, but even the way that most people are doing it is wrong. Same goes for building content for your website or building blogs. It needs to know who you are. What's your tone? What's your brand voice? Oh, what style do you write in? All of that. So that's some basic things. If there's content that's being written for your email newsletter, it sounds like, Spencer, you have a CRM for your office to do some nurture
Yep.
sequences, some texting, some emailing to
Yeah, we use
patients.
HubSpot for email drips.
Perfect. So talk me through a little bit. Like, let's just start with the new lead. So a new lead comes in, they fill out a form on your website. Are they getting some communication back?
Yeah, so like say somebody fills out a request form, like for us to call them. If we don't call within 5 minutes, then it automatically sends an email. So like if they don't move over to like call had, and like the CRM doesn't pick up that we had the call, it'll say, hey, insert first name.
Yeah,
Thanks so much for filling out the contact form. We're currently serving people and in our office with awesome chiropractic care. And so we're going to give you a call back at the next available moment. You'll probably expect a call between like at our lunchtime between like 1 and 3. We'll be in touch really
incredible.
soon.
Incredible. So I'm sure you have a whole flow. And then, once they
Yep.
become a patient, or maybe they miss an appointment, maybe there's some missed appointment sequences. When I talk about AI, it's a very, I like it to be it's a creative. This is creative. What we like to do is we like to get in. I want to learn about your business. Now there's some specific things that all chiros do. I believe that every chiro listening to this, every practitioner listening to this, needs to have nurture sequences around new patients coming in, patients that missed appointments, patients that didn't end up buying a care plan, that are sitting on your little list of people that you're like, I should call them, but you never do. There should be a series of email, text, and call reminders. So number one, going into AI, giving it all the information that you know so far about your flow, and asking it to build out that high level sequence for you. So it should build out the sequence. Okay, a new patient fills out the form, then they should get an email, then you should call. And once the call comes through and they want to book an appointment, they get the appointment booking reminder. So it's not the actual text first and foremost, it's just the sequence. Then once you dial in the sequence of this is what happens when, then you can use AI to actually build the text out, build the content. So this is the text, this is the email. I tell people that AI gets you 80% there. You still are going to edit this. You are not just going to let AI tell you what's great. You know what's great. That's the human brain component that a lot of people miss. They just let AI do the whole thing. It's going to give you 80% there. You get that whole thing into Google Doc, you edit it, and then you hire someone to actually put it into your CRM system. But in terms of that process, I mean, that could take weeks to write all that out, dial it all in. I think that's like a 2-day, maybe a 1 or 2-day project now with AI.
So with that, you mentioned like how you write, what's your content like, that type of stuff. A lot of our
Yeah.
listeners are 1 year, 2 years, maybe 5 years into practice, and they might be listening and be like, I don't know how I write. I don't know what my content should look like. I've just been kind of posting what everyone posts.
Yeah.
What would you say are recommendations to either learn your writing style, or maybe steal someone's writing style, or borrow someone's writing style?
What I like to say is, of course, if we want to borrow like a famous author's writing style, if you want to speak similar to someone, like I speak, actually, it's a hybrid of Simon Sinek and Gary Vee is kind of my tone and style. I've kind of developed my own. The first thing I would do is I would go into ChatGPT and I would tell it exactly the situation. I would say exactly this. Number one, I would say what its role is. You are a world-class marketing content specialist helping me identify my brand voice. Then I'm going to give it context and information. I have a chiropractic clinic named Back to Health. We've been in practice for 2 years. We serve families, kids, adults. We work on nervous system regulation, this, that, insert maybe a couple testimonials, a couple case studies. This is who we serve. This is our ideal client persona. This is who's in my office. These are our values. This is our mission. This is what we're doing. Can you interview me and ask me 5 to 10 questions that will help you extract my brand voice so that I can develop a tone and style for future writing? Give it that information back. It's going to ask you, specific questions. It's going to be this marketing content expert. And at the very end, it's like, can you summarize my brand tone in 2 sentences? Then when you go to write something, you're going to grab those 2 sentences and bring it everywhere you go. You're going to have to finagle it. You're going to have to work with it. But this is where that human component comes in, of really dialing in. And it can be a couple sentences if you want. I try to get it down to 2 or 3 sentences. You can kind of remember. And you're going to bring that with you wherever you go.
Wow. That's really cool. I'm just like, brain's already exploding. I'm thinking like we're looking to build out.
Pups love AI. They just love it. Yeah.
Yes. We're building out like specific pages on our new website, and I've just been going in and be like, hey, can you build out a conditions page for headaches? And it just spits it out. And now I'm like, and we're already like 15 pages in, and I'm like, all right, well, maybe we go back and
I think you should,
because it is very, very generic, right? And I'm like reading it, I'm like,
it's boring. It's boring, right? Like you read it and you're like, this sucks. Okay, like this is easy, but I think that's what most people think about AI. Like it's easy, but the output sucks. That is not true. You are not putting the effort and the energy into making the output great. It requires your side. It requires feeding it with the information and tuning it. And I tell people all the time, if you spend the work on the front end to really developing that rapid brand voice and having that piece, which could take you a couple hours, it really could. It could take a whole day. It could take multiple days. But once you have it, the rest of the time of you building content for your clinic forever, as long as you have that clinic, is going to be expedited. So spend the time on the front end. I totally would do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar to building passive income, or as I like to joke with Alex Ramosi talks about, like passive fitness. It's like you've built it up for so long and now you can just kind of go in and do what you want.
Exactly.
And so with that, I mean, that's really cool. Are you using mainly ChatGPT, OpenAI, or?
It's a great question. No, I'm not actually. So right now, and this podcast is probably coming out August 2024. So whenever you're listening to this, whatever I say right now is probably not true anymore, because it is literally changing month by month, week by week, which large language model is the top one, because they're all releasing new ones. So the top ones right now on the market are recently, as of like a couple days ago, the top one is Gemini, which is Google's LLM. I don't believe it yet. I've been messing around with it a little bit, and I'm not using that one very much. I do think Gemini is going to be so powerful when it's more intertwined with Google Drive, of just having that LLM like integrated in Gmail. It's starting to get there. It's just not 100% there yet. So Gemini is like my sleeper that's on the ready, but I'm not using that day to day. What I'm using day to day is Claude. So that's CLAUDE.ai. Do not get the free version. If you hear me talk about one of these tools and you're like, I want to have free, just don't use it. Literally. Like, you have to get the paid version. It's $20 a month. And if you're not using it, just cancel it. But I promise you, it's worth it to get the paid. So Claude is 10 times better with content. So Zach, if you're building content for that website, do not use ChatGPT, at least right now. Right now we have ChatGPT 4.0. I don't think the content is very strong. With ChatGPT, Claude is much, much better. The downside of Claude is that Claude does not actively search the internet. I believe it has the internet up until October of 2023 or January of this year, but you can't actively be doing searching in there. I can't search a link. ChatGPT can search a link. So it depends on what you're doing. If you're actually building content for your clinic, I have a Claude projects that pitches me on podcasts. Like I don't really need to
Mhm.
do, well, actually I need to do research. So I do it in another tool. If I'm going to do real-time research, I am most of the time going into Perplexity. Perplexity.ai is Google on steroids. I do not Google anymore. Google will probably figure this out eventually. I'm sure they'll incorporate Gemini into their searches, and Google as we know it will be extinct. It'll be a lot better. But right now, Perplexity is where I go to do like a Google search, active time real research, like, hey, tell me about the What's Now podcast. I want to see the last 10 episodes, all their descriptions, and a 3-paragraph overview of the What Now podcast. It's going to literally search Google and extract all of that information. So it kind of depends on what I'm doing. The ChatGPT mobile app, I think, is the strongest. So that is typically what I'm using when I'm on the fly. It has a really nice microphone feature. I can just record myself talking. It has the headphone feature, which actually talks back to me. So ChatGPT most of the time, 90% of the time on the phone. When I'm on the computer, I'm mostly toggling between Claude and Perplexity.
Yeah, I was just telling Zach about Perplexity right before we got on the show, and what I think is so cool, like, and what I've learned from you is like, I think that a lot of people like really think that, oh, AI is going to do all the work and the thinking for me. It's not that. It just helps you consume information at such a rapid rate that you
Yes,
don't have to take these 3, 4, 5, 6 hour courses anymore. Try to think about how you can apply it. You can literally just talk back and forth. It's like if the professor would just give you all the answers all the time, but really
completely.
simple in a way that you understand it, and then do the work for you at the same time.
Completely.
So it like just helps you consume so much information. Like I feel like I've learned so much stuff after just spending our weekend together, because I was like, oh, now I know how to talk to it before. Whereas I feel like I would just like pull up the thing and I would just be like, make me a social media post.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it would just
Right.
be like my practice is Empower Chiropractic. Tell me if I'm in a good market. And it would
Right.
just and it would be like, I have no idea. You're like, and it would
And
just get
you
really
and
confusing.
you know this, right? Like you knew if someone was like, "Oh my god, Spencer, my cousin Matt, he's an incredible social media guy. You should you can text him any question you want. He just loves answering." You would not text this guy, "Hey man, create me a social media post. This
Yeah,
is the name of
exactly.
my clinic." Like you'd be like, "I'm sorry, what? Like who are you?" And once that clicks, you guys people listening to this, if you own a business, you are creative. I'm sorry, you have a creative bone in your body. Like, even if you don't exercise it every day, once you kind of know these tools, that's when you can start. It's like these neural pathways start to expand a little bit where you're like, oh, I could be creative and I could give it all this content from maybe you recorded your last team meeting and you want to give it the transcript from your last team meeting and you want to summarize the whole team meeting and send an email to the whole team. You're like, okay, well, now I'm like expanding what I know is possible with this. And so now the creative juices start flowing.
Dang.
Yeah. What do you feel like are like, I know we talked about like the drip stuff, but what do you feel like is like one like super high leverage task that practitioners, I guess besides the email drip, or maybe it is like, what do you feel like is like the most high leverage activity that we could be doing like with a low skill set with AI?
Well, one of the cool use cases we talked about was really trying to figure out a way to automate do we call it the ROF process across the board? The report of findings?
For the most part,
Yeah, for the most
Okay.
part.
which I've heard
I
you're a big fan of the day two.
What'd you say, Zach?
I heard you're a big fan of the day two.
The day two pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I am not a chiropractor. I am best friends with Dr. Steph, so I know enough, and I'm also getting care from a chiropractor. So from a patient perspective, sorry if my chiropractor is listening. I hated the pitch process. It was like he was so technical, talking about L1s and C1. I'm like, I don't know any of that. I don't even know what you're talking about. What are you going to do and why? And how much is it? So for those of you, a lot of chiros, you guys are smart AF and you are wanting them to understand the science. But I personally, even if I could understand it, don't really care. I just want to know that you can help me. Now, some clients might actually understand more of it and want some of that. So we talked about, for some people, the ability to, do you guys talk about Loom on here? Are people familiar with that tool?
We may have
I know
mentioned
about
it, but
Loom. I
Okay.
don't use Loom yet, but
I'll
I know Loom too.
explain what Loom is. So it's LOOM, and Loom is a tool where you can just record a video on your computer of your screen. And then there's a little bottom left, there'll be a little video of you talking so they can see your face, but they can also see your screen. So this is a high leverage task for some chiros that maybe are a little bit technical. So coming in and doing that, remind me the pitch number 1, like what is that called? How would you describe pitch 1 versus pitch 2 during the closing process of a care plan?
Like payment options?
No. Like there's like I was given
day
the day one pitch was
like
like
exam.
yeah, like they did the
Oh,
exam,
yeah.
then they did like the full exam findings, and they had me come back to talk about the money part.
Oh,
Yeah, typically
Yeah.
what the workflow looks like, at least for us, is like you come in for the consult and we like gather all the data basically, and it's like, hey, okay, we're gonna do an exam, we're gonna listen to your complaints and all of those kind of things, and then we'll do an assessment and we'll say, okay, we'll go over the findings, all the details of the assessment, come back and we'll give you the report on that, and that'll include like, hey, this is what we found in the exam,
Got it.
this is what your best plan of action is, and these are the finances.
Yes. So this can be optional depending on your flow. But what I would have loved is for them to record a Loom video of them going over my report, like show me my x-rays or show me what the reports are finding, whatever they found. And that could be a 15, 20, 25-minute explanation of all these different things. Like I have some serious issues in my low back that I don't feel that are questionable. I don't know where they came from. I want to know like scientifically, but record a Loom. Every time you record a Loom video, you get that full transcript. So you can just copy that transcript, bring it into AI, and you can ask for an email summary of the entire transcript. So we can email the client the entire, we're not doing investment, we're not doing what the plan is, we're literally just explaining what we've found and what we're seeing in an email, and give them the Loom video. And that's their homework. They have to watch that before they come in for day 2. And ideally, it's like 15, 20 minutes. What's nice about that is it's really hard for me to digest all of the information you're telling me and the investment all in one setting. And even maybe you do a high level overview of the report of findings in that second meeting, but at least you're giving them an opportunity to review it with their husband, wife, kid, whatever, before session 2. So that it's like, hey, I want to just answer your questions. And from an energetic perspective from the doctor, oh my God, explaining all that for 20 minutes, I'm sure is draining. Like, how are you going to do that 10 times a day live? And then you go right into a sales pitch? Like, that energetically can be, you guys are laughing. Like, yeah, I could not do that personally. Like, that would be a lot. So, that was one thing we talked about as a flow that could be really easily automated with AI.
Yeah,
really
for
cool.
sure.
That's really cool.
Do you have anything else, Zach?
I mean, a ton, but I don't want to like get like too in the granular of things. Another interesting thing, and I don't want to like steal what you did at the pop-up because I know like people have paid for that. So if it like, if I ask a question and you're like, I'd rather keep that for the pop-up.
Sure.
But one really interesting thing that I took away was the concept of utilizing AI, Claude, ChatGPT as a therapist.
Oh, that's exactly what I was about
or
to talk
like
about.
life coach.
Yes.
And what does that look like?
What?
And yeah.
Yes. Okay. So let's talk about let's orient you guys into what's possible with AI, and then I'm going to go into how I'm using this as, oh my God, like Claude will save marriages, I swear. Or ChatGPT, whatever. Like, I swear to you, because your partner cannot be your everything. Are you guys familiar with Esther Perel? Have you heard her talk before? She's a relationship therapist.
Yep.
No.
She wrote a book called Dating in Captivity, Mating in Captivity, and then she wrote a book called The State of Affairs. But in Mating in Captivity, she talks a lot about how you expect your life partner, your husband, your wife, whatever, girlfriend, boyfriend, to be your everything, to be your therapist, to be a comedian. They love to work out. They love to cook. They love to do all these things that you love to do. And it's just not the case. Even your best friend is not going to be this everything to you. And it's so important that sometimes this therapy stuff, you don't need to tell your partner everything. Like, you need to have a place to go. And therapy is expensive, and I only go there like once a month now. So day to day, especially business decisions, oh my gosh, it's so important that you have somewhere to go. So what I've done is in Claude, if you get the paid version, there's something called a Claude project.
It's fire.
It's unbelievable. When you build a Claude project, there's two main differences between just communicating with Claude. If I just go into Claude right now and I say like, hey, I'm really struggling. I'm going to just make something up. Let's say my friend and I are having a conflict. She's been really distant from me and I don't know if she's upset. I don't know what's going on. She didn't come to my birthday party. Like I'm feeling really frustrated with her and I want to figure out a great way to approach it. Can you help me? When you're just going into Claude like that, it doesn't know your Enneagram. It doesn't know your life story. It doesn't know anything about you. So it's basically just like going into a brand new therapist every time, which is better than no therapist. But if you build a Claude project, I've built a Claude project that's my therapist and it knows every single thing, not every single thing, let's say 70% about me that I can remember. And what I've done is I recorded myself telling it my life story. And to do that, I asked it for 20 interview questions that would help a therapist guide me. What questions would you like to know about my upbringing, my childhood, my life, my tendencies, my limiting belief, my fears? Please ask me 20 questions that will help you understand me better. I uploaded all my personality tests and just some big life events and describe those. So there's about 30 minutes of me talking about my life, pretty intensely answering those questions. The transcripts are in the back end of that Claude project. So every time I go into my Claude project to ask a question, it knows. It's like, oh, you know, you got divorced last year. Like I know that when you come in to ask about a new relationship or when you're asking about whatever, it has all of this back end. It knows my limiting beliefs. It knows where I catch myself, like where my struggles are. And it is, I'm sorry, effing amazing. Like it really, really has changed the game for me.
That's incredible. I'm
It
excited
really is.
to dive into that because I literally last week was like, because getting coached by Steph, I'm like, I feel like I go to you with some big questions and I don't want to burden you anymore. Like
Yeah.
maybe I should look into getting a therapist. And then I heard you on the pop-up call and I was like, oh, I don't have to go seek a therapist.
Well, you should also have a therapist, but you definitely should. Like there is definitely something psychologically about getting in the habit of voicing things that are really deep to another human. But I think in between the sessions, like working through some stuff and even getting some ideas and then bringing them like, hey, these are the things that are kind of on my mind. And the more I've learned, especially going through the divorce and just having, we were together for 12 years. So it was just a massive life event, is we have a tendency to not want to burden anyone and hold everything in. And that is when it all crumbles. If you are holding it in. And so this is just a way to start testing it. So maybe even you for Zach, just to start testing, like, what am I actually feeling right now? There is no risk here. There's no human that's going to judge me. You're just getting it out of your body. We talked about at the pop-up a tool called Audio Pen. Did I discuss that at the pop-up?
Maybe not in the recorded session.
Oh, okay. Well, Audio Pen is a way where you can just talk and it just gives you the transcript immediately. So that's great too. Even when I'm like talking with it, I will tip. I'm very verbal. So just getting in the habit of talking out stuff. And I bring it business issues. I bring it, hey, this employee is having this issue. She's bringing this to me. How should I handle this? Ask me 5 questions that will help me work through the problem.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually my follow-up question is like for business advice, right? I mean, like we all have like tax questions and business structure questions. Is this a smart investment? Should I pay for Steph's next course again? And the answer is always yes. But like, all of these things in terms of a Claude project, are you like feeding it this information in the conversation feed, or like how do you like what are like the 3 really key elements of a good Claude project?
Yeah. So I have a spiritual journey Claude project. In there, number 1 is the customized instructions. So that's really important. So telling it who it is and what its responsibility is and why you need it to do whatever it's doing. Like, what's the purpose of the project? In that instructions for the spiritual project, I'm really focusing on it to always go back to my life and business. Like, look at the notes that I've given you. So really encouraging it to do that. And then the second is that data that you're feeding it on the back end. Like that data is so important. If it doesn't have enough context, then and then always telling it to ask questions. Please ask me questions, because that's going to fill the gaps of what you forgot to give it. In terms of the projects I have, I do have a business coach as well. And that Claude project has my financials. It has every single piece of information about my business. It has testimonials and case studies. It has all information about my services, products, pricing. So that, and then I also have uploaded a few YouTube transcripts of Hormozy talking about paid communities and just a couple frameworks from coaches. So when it's coaching me, I'm dialing it in even more. I don't want you just to coach me randomly. I also have the PDF version of the book Traction. So I've uploaded that on the backside of my, it's an EOS business coach. So when I'm coming in now, this isn't just any random business coach. This is an EOS business coach that has the Alex Hormozy principles.
So smart. That's crazy.
I know. It's really
do
cool.
Do you like typically have this type of response where people are just like,
oh, it's the best.
kinda
Literally,
like
I was meeting, I am addicted to this. Like this, some people do heroin or drugs. I teach AI. Like I get the same dopamine response. I was working with my friend on Sunday night. She works for a big corporation, and she also has a podcast. And so we were talking about, we built out a Claude project for the podcast, and we built out a project that helps her just, show notes and just like easy stuff, like pop the transcript of the podcast in, rip out the show notes, rip out the email that goes to her whole list, and then build 3 social posts, ideas, people to get on the podcast. She was like, oh my God, this is insane. This is insane. This is insane. Because, she's spending all of her weekends like doing all this stuff. I'm sure you guys can relate. Then it didn't click for her, really click like how AI is powerful, until I started helping her with her W-2. I was like, what are you doing in your job? She's like, well, we've never looked at marketing KPIs before. This is like a massive company. We've never really like searched those. My responsibility over the next 3 months is to like really build out a game plan to start tracking marketing KPIs. So I was like, okay, well, how are you gonna do that? And it kind of was like, well, I'm gonna Google and just see. I'm like, oh my God, dude, build a Claude project, put in every single piece of information about what you guys sell, what you guys service. It's a fitness brand, so they do classes. So she put in, I asked it for 20 questions to interview her. She recorded herself talking about it. She uploaded everything that she had so far about all the classes, the descriptions, the membership information. We went in there, told it what she was looking for, and it gave us unbelievable questions for each team to build out the marketing KPIs. I mean, she was like in tears. Like this was a 3-month project that literally in a couple hours, we had a solid foundation to start. And this is a $100 million company that just has no idea what they're doing, and like telling their people, just go create marketing KPIs. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Oh my God. So now I'm like so fired up. I'm like, every company has just no idea what is possible.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super fired up like to use AI and learn how to like dive deeper, is because like I want to be there for like all the patients that we see. I also want to be able to support my team. And if I'm literally bogged down by doing, writing emails and like looking at KPIs and analyzing stuff, that's valuable hours that I lose the connection with the people who I'm building the business for. And so, I mean, and then as like a projector and a 3, which I used to think I was a 4, but I feel like that's more my wing. But as like the projector in me is like, okay, I want to learn how to consult people, and I want to work more efficiently so that I don't waste all of my valuable energy that's so finite on these meaningless little tasks. Like I want to use my most creative window, like this 9 to 11 spot, to do more interviews and to learn more things and to have ideas. But if I'm sitting here like having to analyze the finances and be like, okay, where did we overspend this month? Yeah. Or where are people dropping off in care, or responding to emails even, like, because I mean, like, I know Gemini is like a little bit in Gmail and stuff. And so like it can help me rewrite those kind of things. And
Yep.
The automations have just like really changed my life, and I'm all about working smarter and not harder.
100%. It's like, what's the point? Like we all are doing this. Well, I mean, most of us. I want to build the life of my dreams, which is like spending time doing what I want. I don't want to have to worry about money. So I'm building an engine that brings in money. I can go invest that money into other businesses, into other investments. So I want to get there as fast as possible without killing my team, literally, or in myself. I want to honestly do it as fast as possible while never working past 3:30. So, okay. Well,
Yeah.
there's only so much of me. And how, like you just said, my energy is right now, and my team's energy, like that is the most important thing. How do we maintain energy? I think a lot of times we talk about hours worked. It is not about hours worked. It is about energy spent. And you hit the nail on the head, Spencer. Most people get 2 hours a day where they are able to tap into their highest creative self. And women that have cycles, sometimes there's days of the month where we really don't get it at all because of our period. So when we have that time, it is sacred time. What are you doing during that time? Are you writing the email newsletter for your clinic? Okay, well, you are going to move a lot slower than versus looking at the last 4 months of your business, looking at your 3 months of the business, looking at the quarter, feeding it into your business coach, and really working on the business and not in the business.
Yeah. With all that being said, like how much energy, right? And if that is in measurable units of time, but how much effort are you putting to build a new Claude project? Like to right
Yeah.
size my expectations, if I'm going from like, I got Claude Pro, that's all I got. How long would you anticipate for me to build my first project? Like, what would you say is like average working time or
So
average amount of effort toward building a well set project?
2 hours, 2-3 hours, solid hours. When you're building a Claude project too, I have a couple friends that just keep building, like starting new Claude projects and not actually finishing a Claude project.
Mm-hmm.
The first project that you build, I really want it to help you do a task or your team do a task that's going to take at 3 to 5 hours to do. So for you, Zach, that's probably building your new website out, like all the content, blogs. There should be a Claude project around clinic content creation. I think that project's going to take about 3 hours to build, but it's going to save you. Like the ROI is going to be instant versus starting a Claude. I mean, of course, spiritual coach I think is incredible. And I definitely think that's a 2 hour, maybe a 90-minute setup to get a spiritual coach going. But it does take time on the front end to build out that Claude project so that it's so dialed in the future.
So
Is that what you're feeling, Spencer, on when you're building it out now? That's taking an hour or 2 or 3 to build out?
Well, that's the thing is like we just got back from Jersey, like literally what is that, 2 weeks
Monday
ago or something?
here,
Monday,
Sunday.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I've like sat down, but I'm like, I have nowhere to start. Like
Right.
I don't know what to start with. So
Yeah.
I've been like rewatching like our AI training thing and just trying to like wrap my mind around like, okay, like this is what the intention needs to be when I sit and I work on this software.
Well,
Because if not, then I'm just gonna be write me make things sound good. Like
I'll live coach you in a second. I know Zach has a question on, let's build a little roadmap out on like which Claude projects are the most important for you.
Cool.
Yeah.
My question was going to be more, not really a joke, but like to play like the Joe Rogan, be afraid of AI and Elon Musk. Like you mentioned putting your P&Ls and that type of stuff into Claude or Cloud. I don't know if I'll ever be able to pronounce it, but like what is the security around that? Just to play that maybe boomer question.
ChatGPT, unless you're willing to do the $50 a month plan for the teams, ChatGPT will share everything you give it with the model. So that's another reason why OpenAI is sketch. That's the owner of ChatGPT's, or the company's OpenAI. ChatGPT is their product. I do have the Teams version of ChatGPT, so I've gone into settings and I've turned off the button that says, do you want to improve the model for everyone? So my stuff is private to me. Now, Claude is owned by Anthropic, and Anthropic is one of the top in terms of security. If you go to trust.anthropic.com, you'll see all of their information about AI safety and research and how they keep everything encrypted and everything. It's HIPAA compliant, which is huge. It's also SOC compliant. So Anthropic is the one I trust the most with giving information. I don't have any hesitation in Anthropic. OpenAI, I know in the past I've had some major concerns. So if you're writing a book or you have intellectual property, Just be really careful in ChatGPT. You just got to make sure you have that more advanced paid version. It's a great question, Zach.
Cool.
Okay,
So
Spencer.
maybe some life coaching.
Yep. We're going to
Okay.
talk about your clinic
Okay.
and your life, of what you need first. So talk to me about the next 30 days, like projects that you're working on when you're working on the business. Like, what are some of the major rocks that you are focused on?
Oh, okay. Well, so I have to rewrite all of my drip sequences because I was dumb. And so I use well, see, okay, this is the thing too. Like now that I'm aware of the things that we're talking about, um, the same way that I'm going to talk to Chad, the AI bot is the same way that I'll talk to you, right? I wouldn't just say
Right.
like, I need to rewrite my drip sequences,
That's
right?
right.
Callan, give me the thing. I'm giving you context because it's
Exactly.
important.
Yes,
So maybe I need to be the verbal person on the AI too. But
you do.
so yeah, I mean, I use a system through HubSpot called the Patch software or the Patch program, where it creates automations and retention sequences for your patients to educate them, to continue to keep them engaged. And but it's mainly built for physical therapists. And I'm a pediatric and nervous system focused cash based chiropractor. And so all of the emails were written with physical therapists in mind.
Cool.
And sports-based physical therapists, and I
Yep.
don't do any of that stuff. So I literally took all the emails, copied them, and I said, keep the same tone of voice, keep the same like point across, but make it specific to pediatric chiropractic. And it's literally like, turn your superpowers on with awesome adjustments. And I'm like,
Mhm.
this sucks. So I need to have it tell me what my brand voice is, do some research for me, and then write something that is engaging but doesn't sound like cliche like that. And so I need to redo that, but I have like 75 emails that I need to redo.
Okay. Okay. So what do you think? I mean, well, I won't do the what do you think. I'll just tell you. You need a Claude project that
Yes.
builds content for your clinic. So
Yep.
whether that's emails, texts, website copy, blogs, emails, whatever, you need to build your brand voice for your clinic. So asking it to be a brand expert, pulling those questions out. Do you have written testimonials or case studies or any videos like that?
Yeah, we have a ton
Already?
of them.
Love it. You're going to give it all of it. You're going to give it all of that. You're
In a
going to
Word document.
I like Word. I like the text format the best. It tells you can upload PDFs, but I've found that it's not the best to read the PDF. So if you do have PDFs, I use a tool called, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Exodo. It's xodo.com, and it's a PDF to text tool. So Word doc is fine. DocX is fine.
We just
You're
copy
going
it
to
and
give it
put it in the Claude like text
exactly.
tool.
Yep. You're just
Yeah.
going to call it testimonials, case studies. Yep.
Yeah, that's the biggest like roadblock I've been running into is I have all this information, but it's all on PDFs or in Word documents, and I upload them to Claude, and then it says like you've used all of the memory up for this project. So I'm like, okay, I need
Yep.
to
That's
figure
why you
out a
got to
way
get it in
to
text.
condense all of this.
That's exactly right. You got to get it in text because that will hold a lot less memory than
Gotcha.
the PDF. Yep. So you're going to do PDF to text or docx to text. Just get all that in a text format and feed it. Like if you have any information about your products, your services, if you have like handouts, I would give it that. Just let it know like these are not written in the right tone. But the first thing is you're going to develop a brand voice and you're going to put that in the custom instructions in your Claude. Once it starts kind of writing like you and you feel like it's on the right page, then you're going to tell it everything you just told me. You're going to say, I'm in HubSpot. I'm using this right now, but it's for physical therapists. And I'm not a physical therapist. I'm this, this, this. I need to rewrite all 75 emails using my brand voice. Please pull from the testimonials, the case studies, the product overview, the services overview to feed the bodies of those emails. Because ultimately, each email needs to be like, let me tell you about my patient, Kate. She was 12 years old. She came in this, this, this. This happened, this happened, this happened, and she found this. Would love to have you in for a session, whatever. So not just redoing their email, like would love to have you come in. It's like using all the things you already have to build those emails with your new voice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's been my biggest roadblock is like I just don't know like where to start. Like I don't have a framework. Like I work best off of like here's the guidelines and just like apply it to you, right? And yeah, I'm not the AI expert, so that's why I'm excited for your course for all this
Yes.
stuff.
Yes. For sure. I get that. I'm a very practical person too. Like I'm starting my kind of getting into more of a spiritual journey, and my one of my friends, Anna, is very spiritual, and she's like, you should do a new moon ceremony. I'm like, what is that? She's like, you just, you write down like what you want to let go. I'm like, where do I do it? She's like, at the table. I'm like, okay, is there candles? Is there music? Like, how do I? Then she's like, okay, you need got it. Okay, sorry. So she sent me like exactly like turn this YouTube video on with this music, with this type of scent, I'm like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Thank you. I need exacts.
Right. But no, yeah, I mean, that makes so much sense. But it's like learning how to like talk to, I mean, it's just like learning how to talk to a new person in your life, right? Like, I mean, everybody communicates differently. And so like we're really learning like, what kind of information do I need to give the software to talk back the way that we're looking for.
Say that one more time, Spencer.
I said like it's just it's just like learning how to communicate in the way that we would talk to somebody new in our life, like if we have a new friend or something like that, like learning how to speak to it. And that's like kind of the overwhelming thing for me, is because like I just need to speak more like to the software. It
is literally practice. I have only gotten so good at this, because I just coached for 8 weeks on 90 minutes to one of the sessions was 2.5 hours, and just all the conversations in between, and practicing different use cases, and getting fed like, well, what would you do here, and what would you do here? And I've had to mess with it and mess with it and mess with it, and there's times when I wanted to throw my laptop out the window because I'm like, it's not doing what I want. And finally I make one tweak, and I bold one thing or make one thing all caps, and then it suddenly starts doing it exactly the way I want it to. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? So yeah, it's a brand new skill set that we all have to learn. It's not going to be overnight. But that's, I'm creating kind of a new brand right now called Automate to Accelerate. And my mom was funny. She's like, you need to make that brand black and white, because AI is black and white. You either are going to do it or you're not. And if you don't do it, it's not going to be good.
Yep.
I was like, that's smart. Thank you, Mom.
That's so good. You got anything else, Zach?
No, I was just going to ask, I mean, be respectful of your time, but what our last question is always, what now for Callan? What's coming up in the next couple of weeks? I know we've hinted at the chiropractic AI class.
Yeah. So I'm going to Chiro WealthCon in Miami, if y'all are going to be going. So it's going to be sick. I'm one of the VIP speakers. So if you have VIP, I'll be doing some mind-blowing stuff for Chiro.
We'll be there.
Showing you some things live, which will be amazing. And then I am coming out with a course, AI for chiropractors. If you want to get on that wait list, actually the best wait list to get on right now is if you go to my website, which right now is reioptimize.com/services, you'll see the AI Masterclass, an 8-week course. And if you just click that and say learn more and join the wait list, get on that wait list. In that sequence, you're also going to get one of my special prompts. That's read a book in 10 minutes, which is unbelievable. You just put in the name of the book and it will give you a full summary. So reioptimize.com/services, choose the AI Masterclass, an 8-week course. You can get on that wait list, and I will send you the information for AI for Chiros, and I'll probably give it to you guys too to potentially give to your crew once it comes out. That'll be September, mid-September, end of September, that will launch.
Nice.
It's going to be great.
Super pumped for that. Super pumped.
And then follow me on Instagram too. That's probably the best way to stay in touch with me. It's just Callan Faulkner. There's only one other Callan Faulkner in the world. He's in Australia. So it's pretty straightforward.
Jealous.
And I will definitely be posting about that on there.
Cool.
Nice. Cool. Well, thank you so much. If you guys have listened to this once, then you need to listen to it again, because I've heard Callan say a lot of these things multiple times, and every time I like realize new things because I'm constantly learning. But yeah, so definitely go back, listen to this. Callan also has a couple episodes with our other friends like Steph. I think you have an episode with Bijal too.
I haven't done Bijal yet, but I just did Lauren.
Yes,
she says the
and
day.
Then you have another one with Lauren.
Yep.
So definitely be on the lookout for Callan's project, guys. And Callan, thanks so much for being a guest on the What Now podcast. This was awesome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. That was fun.
Peace. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of the What Now podcast. If you took something valuable away, feel free to share it with a friend, post it on your socials, or give us a 5-star review. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.